Hi, I'm Lark. I'm 19. I am a college student. I am transgender and I live in America. I'm scared. As I think a lot of us are. All of the queer community is just a little bit terrified of what is to come. But I refuse to give up. So here is my plea to you. Join me in creating the community spaces that the queer people in your life need to survive the next 4 years of hell. Now, obviously, American politics have never been the kindest to trans people. But ever since somebody got reelected, it's become even more dangerous. A study done by University of Virginia reflects this, specifically with college students. They found that marginalized students often feel isolated and struggle to find identity, and under the Trump administration, this is even more exacerbated. They are limited not only by the difficulty of navigating a world where a lot of the people you interact with are different than you, but also they are barred from finding each other because community spaces, events, classes are oftentimes banned or disregarded under these dangerous government rules, especially things like what Donald Trump is doing right now. And that directly leads to a decrease in mental health because humans are social creatures and we crave to be around people who make us feel seen, heard, and listened to. The danger of the new administration is furthered by another study, which shows a massive spike in suicide attempts following anti-trans legislation. That is incredibly dangerous. And if you care about children, if you care about youth, and if you care about people generally, that would be a terrifying statistic for you to look at. Because a child being so scared of the world they are going to grow up into that they decide to take their lives, that's enough to send a shiver down anybody's spine. As anti-trans legislation increases, it feels hopeless, like we can't quite do anything about it, but I promise you we can. We can create and foster community for each other and for whatever queer person you have in your life that you think might need it. The outline that I want to use for this is an organization called Youth Outright. They're an organization local to Asheville that focuses on supporting Western North Carolina queer and questioning youth. Their mission, according to their website, is to create a world in which all queer and trans youth are supported to realize their power and autonomy through self-determination. They help youth to resist oppression by building community, healing, and growing together. They engage in intersectional and intergenerational dialogue with a focus on gender and racial justice. Their programming includes youth ages 11 to 24, training for youth-serving organizations, and advocacy for policies that protect queer and trans youth. So this organization is not just creating a community space for queer people, it's training queer people how to go out and recreate those community spaces in other places, and they are advocating for these queer people from a position of an organization where they have support and money to create those advocacy spaces. This is incredibly important. But not just from my word or their word, there is a study that was published by the American Medical Association showing that a brief positive social contact can have incredibly high rewards for transgender children or transgender youth, specifically on transphobia and depression-related stigma among adolescents. So this is incredibly important to note because I'm not just talking out of, the side of my neck telling you that community is important. This is a study that shows that when in contact with another positive trans influence, trans children had a much better time reaching out for help and seeking help for depression, gender-affirming care, those sorts of things, than if they had not had that brief social contact. And all of those are elements in keeping a child from attempting to kill themselves. These spaces don't just help youth by providing community opportunities, they also can provide gender-affirming care products like binders and gaffs, which are garments used to shape the body to look more feminine or masculine. There are studies that show that wearing binders and gaffs can help relieve social anxiety through a lack of stress on body presentation, which can help trans youth move through the world easier and more comfortably. And a lot of times it's harder for them to get these garments on their own because they're expensive. There's a barrier of parental negotiation, all sorts of things like that. This is Beck Martin, the co-executive director of Youth Outright. I love them. I've worked with Beck multiple times. I've known them through Youth Outright, and they are an incredibly sweet and kind presence to see. And this is a pretty old picture of them, but the retro vibes and the curly hair are a little too good to miss. But the biggest way that the community, you, me, we can help is to create opportunities for these spaces by funding and uplifting them with support. Beck told me that what they really crave at Youth Outright isn't necessarily donations, though those are always useful. It's places that want to take in their students for field trips or hands-on learning. If the Science Museum invited them to come learn about science and talking about how anybody can do it. If a craft fair invited them to come participate and learn a new craft. If somebody came in and said, hey, I'm going to teach your kids how to crochet because I think it's good stress relief. Those sorts of things help foster and create that community in ways that we think might be indirect. All of us play a role in creating these community spaces for queer people, whether we are queer ourselves, like me, who show up, invite friends to come and add support. You're someone who can financially contribute to organizations like Youth Outright or on-campus organizations. That's incredibly important. Or if you're somebody in a position to bring these queer kids into your fold, to let them learn, to explore, to poke around, creating a safe space in a classroom if you're a teacher, creating a safe space on campus if you're an administrator, doing anything to help can bring down the suicide rates, can increase the mental health of queer people, can bring us all together, can make this next 4 years just a little bit more bearable. So I demand that all of us, queer people, allies, those in positions of power, and those of us who are just students, I demand we cling to each other, we keep each other safe, we create a community and we foster it and allow it to grow, because that is the only way that together we will survive.